Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. Glad to have you. Great news out of Florida. Trump-endorsed Republican State Senator Randy Fine emerged victorious in one of two special elections in the Sunshine State last night. Things got a bit testy yesterday as Republicans and Democrats traded barbs in a heated hearing on activist judges blocking Trump's agenda. We have those details for you. And in his latest book, reporter and author Jonathan Allen says that former President Barack Obama was working against former Vice President Kamala Harris after Joe Biden dropped out, advocating for an open primary because he didn't think Harris could win. And he was right. The U.S. Department of Labor announced that they'll be returning over $1 billion in unused COVID-era funding back to you and me. This is the Trump administration's push for the Department of Government Efficiency to slash waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. I'm looking for my check. How about you?
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Trump-endorsed Republican State Senator Randy Fine emerged victorious. This was one of two special elections. Fine will be taking over former Congressman Mike Waltz's seat in Florida's 6th Congressional District after Waltz vacated the seat to become President Donald Trump's national security advisor. Fine outlasted Democrat Josh Will, a public school employee and political newcomer who raised nearly 10 times more than Fine. I guess that just shows you that you can't buy a congressional seat, or not in this case anyway. Florida's 6th District, located on the Sunshine State's Atlantic coast, from Daytona Beach to just south of St. Augustine, and it kind of goes inland to the outskirts of Ocala, was carried overwhelmingly by former GOP Congressman Waltz in 2024. President Trump also won the 6th Congressional District last year by a significant margin of 30 points. So I would say it's a solid Republican district, but, we can never sit back and just assume. The Republicans' victory came in the closest election for Florida's 6th District since 2018, when former Congressman Waltz beat out his Democrat opponent by 13 points. Each subsequent election, Waltz won with at least 60% of the vote. Yesterday's unusually close race, widely seen as a referendum on President Trump's first few months in office, some say carries implications for the broader battle for power in Congress. There were fears that a loss in both or either of Florida's special elections would deal a significant blow to the Republican majority in the House of Representatives, and we can't afford to lose any. It's dwindled since President Trump has taken a number of Republican House members, like Waltz, to join his cabinet. With those concerns, GOP New York Representative Elise Stefanik's nomination to be Trump's ambassador to the United Nations, of course, was pulled recently. I'd love to know how she feels about that, because that's pretty disappointing to think that you're going to leave your congressional seat to become the ambassador to the United Nations only to be called back in. And I get why Trump is doing this, but on the other hand, you knew that it was tight when he first called on her to serve in this role. It'd have to be very disappointing, but hey, she's a trooper. She's a team player. And I'm sure that she'll be rewarded for her for giving this up because it has to be disappointing. So back in Florida, this Josh Will and his ability to raise $10 million, and again, that dwarfed Mr. Fines, which was under $1 million. So think about that. The Republican state senator raised under $1 million. Now, I don't know why he couldn't raise money, because you would think that there'd be plenty of money available. You'd think that money would be pouring in to secure this seat. In the final week before yesterday's election, according to reports, outside Republican-aligned groups brought in another $1 million or so for advertising in an attempt to boost Fine's chances. Yesterday's victory adds one more seat to 4 House Republicans, expanding their slim 5-vote majority to 6 now, and hopefully 7. We'll see. Following yesterday's victory, President Trump on social media congratulated Fine, and Fine thanked the president for his support. And that's all good. I still don't quite understand why the guy couldn't raise money, though. How did a unknown Democrat, a newcomer, raise him basically 10-1? Doesn't make sense, does it? Some good news out of the Department of Labor. We learned that Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez DeRemer announced that her department will return over $1 billion in unused COVID-era funding. She's going to send it back to taxpayers. This is just part of the Department of Government Efficiency's aim to slash waste, to eliminate fraud and abuse in the federal government, and to go after those who committed such. In a news release, the Labor Department said that $1.4 billion of unspent COVID funding will be returned to taxpayers through the U.S. Department of Treasury's General Fund, and added that action is being taken to recover the remaining $2.9 billion. And this is a drop in the bucket compared to what was spent during COVID. I hope they will go after some of the suspected fraudsters with COVID, because there was billions and billions of dollars that were obtained during COVID through fraud. The Department of Labor explained in the press release that the funding originated from the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act of March 2020. That program was meant to provide expanded unemployment insurance for Americans who were not able to work during the pandemic. The program was closed in 2021, according to the Department of Labor. But the 2023 audit found 4 states were allowed to access the funding despite not meeting program requirements, totaling over $100 million in spending. The secretary said there's no reason leftover COVID unemployment funds should still be collecting dust. I promise to look out for Americans' hard-earned tax dollars, and we're delivering at the Department of Labor. You know, these secretaries, because we've been getting about one of these a week, an announcement from a cabinet secretary announcing them finding money that has gone unused and returning it. It's almost like, for the first time in my lifetime, or at least that I can remember, that you have these cabinet secretaries competing with one another to see how efficient their departments can be, how much money they can save, rather than competing with how much they can spend, because that's typically what these departments do. They're constantly putting their hands out, wanting Congress to give them more money to spend. The Deputy Secretary of Labor, Keith Sonderling, also in a statement said it's unacceptable that billions of dollars went unchecked in a program that ended several years ago. In a huge win for the American taxpayer, we've clawed back these unused funds and will keep working to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. What I've never understood about money like this that sits, where exactly is it? And why does it take this long? I mean, so this program closed in 2021. 4 years later, it's been sitting somewhere. Has it been earning interest? And who got that interest? Every year, within, let's say, 6 months of the books being closed, every year, these agencies should have to go through any unused money, should have to be put back into the general fund right then, and not sit on it for years, like this has evidently happened. We'll see. Maybe maybe Trump and maybe the Republicans will get behind something like this. You know, I've always proposed, too, that budget-wise, that an agency should have to defend its budget every year as well. And not just assume that we're going to start from what you had last year and build on that. Justify the spending. You should have to justify every dime. And if you don't spend it, or if you didn't spend it properly, you don't get it again. So many of these federal agencies, they have, towards the end of their budget year, they have it go on a spending spree because they're afraid if they don't spend it, they won't get it again. That's why our government's in the shape that it's in. Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com. Continuing today's show, things got a little testy yesterday when Democrats and Republicans repeatedly clashed during a lengthy hearing on what the GOP calls activist judges, these rogue judges that continue to try to block President Donald Trump's agenda. The House Judiciary Committee Subcommittee on the Constitution and on Courts held the joint hearing in preparation for what is hopefully going to be a House-wide vote on legislation that would limit district judges' ability to issue nationwide injunctions. That bill is currently stalled, however, after an unrelated fight on proxy voting paralyzed the House floor. So here's what happened. During the hearing, Democrats repeatedly tried to press Republicans on the issue of judicial impeachments, something pushed by conservatives, but that House GOP leaders have shown little appetite for pursuing. There's the argument that could be made that let's not go down the route of impeaching these judges. Let's just reel them back in. Let's make it to where they permanently can't do this. Then we don't have the problem down the road. Because this is not a new problem. Representative Eric Swalwell, the Democrat from California, said of an impeachment resolution targeting U.S. District Judge James Boasberg by Representative Brandon Gill, he said, some guy I've never heard of, he might be in Congress, introduced an impeachment resolution, and he's not here. Swalwell said he hasn't been here for at least the last hour, and every witness here is in agreement that we really shouldn't be impeaching judges. I haven't heard a single colleague on the other side say we should be impeaching judges. And I think he's probably right. Now, Swalwell, that was sort of a backhand to Representative Brandon Gill, who did, in fact, offer impeachment, a resolution of impeachment on Judge James Boasberg. But I think most people agree that we got to fix this problem permanently. So let's say they did impeach Judge Boasberg. You still have all these other judges who could do this. You got to change the law so they can't be doing this, so that a district judge can't literally issue a nationwide injunction and stop what the president's doing. That's what we got to do. Representative Darrell Issa, the Republican from California, who was co-chairing the hearing alongside Representative Chip Roy of Texas, asked Mr. Swalwell to yield his time, but the California Democrat refused. Issa told Fox News later that about the Democrats' ploy. He said, I don't think they have anything to talk about with the bills since they offered a similar bill, and even the Solicitor General as late as October of last year in the Biden administration wanted exactly what we're moving out of committee today. Well, of course, they wanted it then, but they don't want it now. Representative Jared Moskowitz compared conservatives' push to impeach judges to House Republicans' impeachment inquiry efforts into former President Joe Biden, which ultimately did not end any such proceedings. Moskowitz said, I guess we're taking a page out of the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer's playbook. We're just doing fake impeachments. But Chip Roy, who led the hearing with ISA, said it was about trying to make clear that you've got a handful of judges acting clearly politically to stop the administration from acting. It's pretty clear, he said, that my Democrat colleagues prefer to defend the right of an MS-13 gang member clearly here illegally from being deported. Representative Scott Fitzgerald, Republican from Wisconsin, got in on it too. Another member of the committee said at least one goal was to raise the profile of the issue so that people are aware of it, not that we aren't already. He said maybe the more headlines a hearing like this gets, it clearly sets it on the plate of Chief Justice Roberts to take action and try to get control of the courts again. It's not immediately clear when ICE's bill may get a vote in the House because of some other issues that we'll get to in just a minute that pretty much caused the House to be out of business for about a week. But hopefully soon. Over in the Senate, Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville says something has to be done, and he's leading the way in the Senate to get the rogue judges under control.
Well, first of all, Will, we thought we were done with all this weaponization with President Trump in the White House and a Republican House, Republican Senate. We turned the DOJ around. We've got common sense back and knocked out all the weaponization, the deep state in the DOJ. Now, out of the bullpen, the Democrats can't do anything here. They just pulled out of the bullpen all these woke judges that are absolutely lost their mind, trying to slow down President Trump. That's not going to happen. But as you said, Senator Grassley and I have got a bill on the floor, and hopefully we'll have some action with it. But we've got to stop this nonsense. President Trump has had more injunctions against him in the first 2 months than President Biden had in 4 years. It's absolutely nonsense. We got to quit doing this. We got to give President Trump a chance, but the Democrats are scared to death of the American people and President Trump. They're going to do everything they can do to slow him down.
And he's right. The senator's right. Democrats, I'm not sure this is part of their plan, but after it's worked a couple of times, they've realized that they can judge shop and they can find one of their rogue activist judges who will issue an injunction to hold everything up. And this has got to stop. I happened to talk with Senator Lindsey Graham about this earlier this week when he received the endorsement of a couple of right-to-life organizations. I asked him about these rogue judges.
No federal district court judge should be able to stop national policy. They judge shop. They go to the most liberal districts in the country, and they get a single federal district court judge to issue a ruling that affects the entire nation. We should stop that practice. The Supreme Court has a rule about that. They should enforce it. So I'm supporting Senator Grassley's idea that a single federal judge cannot issue an injunction against a presidential action on the federal level. It's got to go up to a higher level, because right now, all you got to do is find one liberal judge to put everything on hold. That needs to stop.
And, Senator, I hope we can stop it very soon. Not surprising, according to political reporter Jonathan Allen, former President Barack Obama was actively working behind the scenes to prevent Kamala Harris from becoming the Democrat nominee after Joe Biden exited the 2024 race after his dismal showing in the debate with Donald Trump. Allen, appearing on MSNBC to promote his new book, Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House, said that Obama lacked confidence in Harris's ability to win and pushed for an open primary or contested convention to find an alternative candidate.
President Obama absolutely did not think that Joe Biden should continue, according to our sources close to President Obama. And he also didn't want Kamala Harris to be the replacement for Biden. He didn't think that she was the best choice for Democrats. And he worked really behind the scenes for a long time to try to have a mini primary or an open convention, or a mini primary leading to an open convention. Did not have faith in her ability to win the election. So, and as it turned out, she didn't win, but he was really working against her. In one moment, he had set up a phone call with Congressman Clyburn from South Carolina on the day that Joe Biden handed off the baton to Kamala Harris. And Obama had set up a call with Clyburn for like 5:30 that afternoon. And Clyburn thought to himself, this guy's going to try to rope me into the open convention thing. I better get my endorsement of Harris out there fast so that this is a short conversation.
Wow.
So that's and when Harris talked to Obama on the day that Biden handed off to her, Obama was unwilling to give his endorsement then.
Now we know eventually Barack and Michelle came around. They eventually endorsed Harris. That support came 5 days after Biden's endorsement. A delay that everybody thought was intentional. Obama wanted her to sweat it out, and he didn't care. I mean, who's going to challenge Barack Obama in the Democrat Party? The book also describes how Representative James Clyburn, from the only Democrat in my home state of South Carolina, rushed to endorse Harris. You heard him say that after learning that Obama was planning to call him. He wanted to go ahead and get it out of the way so it was public information. Wow. Wonder if James Clyburn wishes he had withheld his endorsement and listened or at least had the conversation with Barack Obama. The book also paints a picture of a strained dynamic between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, with Biden demanding full loyalty even after he stepped aside. According to Allen and co-author Amy Parnes, Biden told Harris, quote, "No daylight, kid," in a call before the debate, an instruction to stick closely to his legacy. And that was sort of the dilemma that Kamala Harris was in, because she really needed to distinguish herself and to try to put distance between herself and Joe Biden, because everybody knew that the American people viewed the Biden administration as a complete failure. So in order to separate herself, she needed to be able to call some of that out and to admit we made mistakes. But instead, she tried to further support or continue the legacy of Joe Biden, and people were over that. Critics faulted Harris for not distancing herself enough from Biden, especially as she struggled to define her own image, and she couldn't even define policies that her campaign supported. At one point, Harris even told The View that she couldn't name anything that she would have done differently during the Biden term. You remember that? I cringed when I heard her say that. I thought, you just lost the race. If you can't think of a single thing that you would do differently in a total failure of an administration, you don't deserve to be president. She never deserved it anyway. But I would have thought that even Democrats would have turned on her then. If you'd like, I can summarize the rest of the book and break down the political implications of Obama's reported stance. Just let me know. In other Biden-Harris news, and look, it seems like there's always some Biden-Harris news. Hunter Biden will be permanently stripped of his ability to practice law in the nation's capital after agreeing to a disciplinary agency's disbarment recommendation. The former first son, a convicted felon, filed an affidavit under the seal in the D.C. Court of Appeals yesterday noting his consent to disbarment. The D.C. court must accept the disciplinary board's recommendation to accept Hunter's consent to disbarment before it becomes official. Biden graduated from Yale Law School in 1996 and was admitted to the Washington, D.C. bar in 2007. His license was suspended in June of last year, 2 weeks after he was found guilty in a Delaware federal court of lying about his drug use to obtain a firearm, among many other things. He later pled guilty to 9 charges, 3 felonies, 6 misdemeanors, stemming from his evasion of $1.4 million in taxes. And he's still free. I wonder how that works. Former President Joe Biden, of course, issued a full and unconditional pardon last December after repeatedly saying he would never do so. He issues the pardon just weeks before leaving office after he had promised a number of times. Of course, he never promised it after he dropped out of the race, did he? All the times that he promised that he would not offer a pardon to his son was when he was still thought he was going to be on the ticket in November. Hunter was awaiting sentencing in both cases at the time the pardon was issued. So Daddy came to the rescue one more time. The D.C. Bar's Office of Disciplinary Counsel initiated the legal proceedings to suspend Hunter's law license. The D.C. Bar considers any felony as a serious crime and prompted the D.C. court to take action against Hunter. Look, Hunter Biden's never going to practice law again anyway. I don't know exactly what he's going to do now that his art is worth nothing, now that he doesn't have his daddy to sell his influence to. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's never going to practice law again. And not because the D.C. Bar has suspended him. I can't imagine anyone who would hire Hunter Biden as their attorney anyway. Can you? Hunter was paid $331 yearly to maintain his membership in the D.C. Bar, though he's never actively practiced law in D.C., they said. He held as of counsel position at the Democrat-linked law firm Boise Schiller Flexner during his father's vice presidency. Basically, they just put his name on the letterhead because of his name. That's all he's ever done. Hunter Biden, the only thing he's ever done is peddled his dad's influence. His dad doesn't have any influence anymore, so he doesn't have anything to sell. He supposedly lives in Southern California. Not sure where he's living now because, remember, his house, he claimed he couldn't live in his house that was right in the middle of a burned-out neighborhood, although it did not burn itself. It was the only house in the neighborhood that was still standing. He sued the landlord to get out of the lease because he said it was inhabitable. Now, again, the news media showed images of this home, and everything around it was burned. So, obviously, they had some additional fire protection around this home of some sort. But the home looked fine to me. Now, maybe it got so hot that could the wires melted or something? I don't know. Who knows? I think Hunter Biden was just looking for an excuse to get out of that lease. So what do you think Hunter Biden can do now? Would you hire him as your attorney? Would you buy any of his art? Email me what you think Hunter Biden can do. You can text me or leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com and get the very best prices on every single item that Mike Lindell has to offer. I had a great conversation. I interviewed Mike Lindell yesterday. Go to my YouTube channel and you can watch the full interview. He has some great deals right now. What a story he has to tell. His Giza Dream queen size sheets, normally $139.98. Right now, when you use promo code Joey, he's going to let you have them at wholesale price, $69.99, because once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders. They're not going to carry his products. So as Mike explained to me in the interview yesterday, he's going to pass those savings on to you. He's going to let you have them at wholesale prices. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98. The king size, only $34.98 when you go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Always use promo code Joey to get the very best price. Promo code Joey, MyPillow.com, or call 800-893-4059. These liberal colleges, they just don't get it. The latest out of New York, Ithaca College in New York, has admitted to letting a trans athlete compete in a Division III rowing competition last weekend. The college allowed this despite the fact that the NCAA changed its gender eligibility policy back in February to prevent biological males from competing in women's sports, in compliance now with President Donald Trump's executive order addressing the issue. The trans athlete competed in the Cayuga duels on Saturday, but only in the third Varsity 8 event, which is not factored into the NCAA championship qualifications, according to the New York Post. Ithaca provided a statement to the media saying that participation of the trans athlete was due to a misunderstanding by the coaching staff about what was considered an official NCAA event and reference to policies allowing of male practice players. Look, there should not be any males on any female teams, period. Forget about whether it's considered an official NCAA event or not. Kick the men off of the women's team. You agree? Email me, text me. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com. I had a great conversation with Michael and Dale yesterday. And go to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search for Joey Hudson, find my YouTube channel, and you'll see my interview with Michael and Dale yesterday. I'd love for you to watch it. What a great man he is, and what great products he has. And he explains how the big box stores, once again, have canceled their orders this spring. So he's got a truckload of spring sheets that he needs to sell, and he's going to give us those sheets at wholesale prices. The Giza Dream queen size is normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. The king size, only $79.99. The king size of the Percale, only $34.98. And there's a lot of other savings there, too. So call 800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Joey. And be sure and go to my YouTube channel and watch my interview with Michael and Dale. I promise you, you'll love hearing from Michael and Dale. And what an inspiring story this man has. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at FurmanFord.com, FurmanFord.com. On the text line, texter says, Joey, good morning. Responding to your show yesterday, don't you think that Joe and his administration should have also be held accountable for the murder of the Georgia woman? This would have never happened had he shut the border down. These illegal immigrants should have zero rights. What I mean is no court. The arresting officer should be judge and jury. Remember the comic book Judge Dredd? Yeah, I should have the power over illegal immigrants. Love your show, Joey. Keeping us informed. Thank you. I appreciate your comments there. So here we go again, another federal judge, this time a New Jersey-based federal judge, rejecting the Trump administration's bid to move Columbia grad and anti-Israel demonstration leader Mohammad Khalil. The Trump administration was moving to have his legal case heard in Louisiana, where he's locked up in an ICE detention center. U.S. District Judge Michael Farbirez, ruled yesterday that the Garden State will maintain jurisdiction over this high-profile deportation case, since it's where Khalil was briefly detained when his lawyers filed their legal challenge following his contested arrest. Farbirez wrote in his 67-page ruling where he described the government's argument otherwise as unpersuasive, saying the case as filed can go forward only here, meaning in New Jersey. He said the other 93 districts where the petitioner was nowhere to be found or out of the question. While the ruling does not guarantee that Khalil will be transferred from his detention center in Louisiana, it allows his legal team the opportunity to argue for his potential release. Now, who is Khalil? He's a 30-year-old native of Syria, of Palestinian descent, and a citizen of Algeria. He was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents at his university-owned apartment on March the 8th after he helped fuel back-to-back anti-Israel protests at Columbia-affiliated Barnard College last month. Remember the demonstrations that we talked about back then? Khalil is a spokesman for the anti-Israel group Columbia Apartheid United Divest. He was shipped to an ICE detention center in Louisiana and is waging a court battle against the Trump administration, which is looking to deport the green card and student visa holder over his role in disruptive and at times violent protest at the Ivy League. Now, again, this gets back to this federal judge protecting this person who shouldn't be in our country. He's a Palestinian activist. This group is responsible for the riotous takeover at Columbia's Hamilton Hall last April when they literally took over the building. He should have been shipped out then, but of course Joe Biden wasn't going to do that. Now he's messed with the wrong president, and Donald Trump will ship him back in a minute if these federal judges will get out of the way. The latest justification behind the push to send him out of the country is that he allegedly hid ties to the controversial United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, it's known as UNRWA, on his green card application. So he committed fraud to even get the green card to come here to begin with, allegedly. The UNRWA was infamously stripped of tens of millions of dollars in federal funding after an explosive report that some of its members took part in the October 7th terror attacks. Imagine that. So they attack Israelis, yet they think that they should still get U.S. dollars. Not going to happen. His attorneys have since accused the Trump administration of advancing listen to this, a radical reinterpretation of existing law to move the case to a more conservative venue that deprives Khalil of his legal team and family. Now, it is a bad situation. This guy is married to an American who is 8 months pregnant with his child, and I hate it for him. And I hate it for the child. Why in the world would a young American girl get involved with a Palestinian-loving person like him? The defense attorney, Bahir Azmi, said, "We're grateful the court wisely understood that the government cannot try to manipulate the jurisdiction of the United States courts in a transparent attempt to shield their unconstitutional and frankly chilling behavior." I bet this defense attorney, though, likes judge shopping. They're talking about the Trump administration manipulating the jurisdiction. I bet they would go to another jurisdiction if they thought they had a more friendly judge. They love it. They love switching jurisdictions when it's to their advantage. So this is just another example of a federal judge stepping in and protecting a potential terrorist here, someone who shouldn't be in our country. And this is what we've seen quite a bit. These federal judges, activist judges, in some cases, district judges issuing nationwide injunctions to slow Trump down. We thought we were headed to a vote in the U.S. House this week that would potentially start the process of re-educating these judges and making it clear that they do not have nationwide jurisdiction. It's going to take an act of Congress, evidently, to clear this little misunderstanding up. The U.S. Senate is working on a bill. The U.S. House getting close to vote. However, things got a little dramatic in the House yesterday. What's normally a routine procedural vote ended in some drama after the rebellion of 9 Republicans against their own party forced the chamber proceedings for the week to come to a halt. Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters that votes were canceled for the rest of the week in comments condemning the mutiny. So what happened? Well, they had a rule vote. And look, leadership has admitted it's an embarrassing setback for the House Republican caucus, who was putting on a full court press for both pieces of legislation that were important. But they had a rule vote, which is not an expression of support or opposition for any specific measure. It's a procedural hurdle, normally falling along party lines, that allows the House to begin debate and eventually vote on whatever bills the rule's covering. In this case, the rule would have allowed for debate and floor consideration of the bills that would have limited district judges' ability to levy nationwide injunctions and would have mandated proof of citizenship to register to vote, respectively. Two important issues, okay? Representative Anna Paulina Luna from Florida, meanwhile, has been leading a bipartisan push for legislation that would allow new parents in the House to vote remotely for 12 weeks surrounding their child's birth. She attempted to force the bill onto the floor via a mechanism called a discharge petition, which would effectively end-run leaders to hold a House-wide vote on the legislation, provided the petition gets support from a simple majority of the House. Representative Luna has been pushing for this. Lawmakers rarely, if ever, lead discharge petitions against their own party, but Luna's was poised for success with support from some Democrats as well as some fellow Republicans. House GOP leaders attempted to block it by inserting language in an unrelated rules package. However, and would have effectively prevented Luna's bill from getting a vote. The rules package, though, would have opened debate on this No Rogue Rulings Act that would have eliminated these federal judges, their ability to do this. But because some of the Republicans thought that Representative Luna's bill to allow House members to be able to vote in absentee during maternity leave killed any chance of it passing, at least for now. We'll see. They're kind of on. They've been sent to a timeout. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.